Hello my lovelies, and thank you so much for joining me. Guys, I am not one to focus videos on celebrities and the drama around it, but in this case I feel the need to really talk about it. And not to talk about it, but more specifically to open the conversation surrounding male DV. This is huge, guys, and it impacts so many men out there, yet it's being highly overlooked and concerningly not believed. We always believe women when they say that they are victims of DV, but we never believe men because society and culture in general tends to believe that women are weaker than men, as opposed to men being strong and overpowering. And that's how we got to the point where a woman is believed instantly when she accuses a partner of DV, yet men are scared to open up and report partner violence for this exact reason. They are not believed and they are even laughed at. When we talk about DV, I don't think that we should recognize a violent person by gender. Above all, we need to recognize the tendencies by actions without a face or a certain gender. If you didn't get the idea of who I'm talking about today, let me tell you, this is all over the news, okay? It's Johnny Depp's defamation trial against Amber Heard. I think it's extremely important to use this as an example of how people are perceived based on their gender alone and not the actions. But before we get started, I'm just going to leave the biggest disclaimer that I've ever left in any of my videos. Please bear in mind that a lot of the things I say in this video is based on the witnesses brought forward in the trial on Johnny Depp's side. We still haven't heard the other side yet. We still don't know what they are going to do with Amber Heard's side. So just to put it out there, and today I will be covering up to and including day 6 of the trial. Having said that, my opinions will likely remain the same even after hearing Amber Heard's side. The decisive factors for me so far were the opening statements from Johnny Depp's lawyer and the opening statements from Amber Heard's lawyers. In contrast, Amber's side really dramatized the whole opening statement. I mean, when I watched the opening statements and it got to Amber's side of it, I felt like I'm being, quite honestly, summarized a movie. For me, when I feel like I'm being summarized a movie, I tend not to believe it because of the sheer exaggeration and the dramatic effect it's played to have. Then, you guys, seeing Amber's behavior in that courtroom, I made up my mind. Quite honestly, I made up my mind. She's always holding her head so high, which tells me that she's arrogant and she also has a narcissistic behavior, in my opinion, of course. Johnny Depp, on the other hand, looks nothing but in pain, hurt, emotional, and quite honestly destroyed. And having said that, when Johnny Depp was on the stand, Amber was constantly looking at him and he genuinely looked so uncomfortable. A victim doesn't really look in that way at them. They always try to avoid looking at them out of fear at the very least. And would always find ways to intimidate the victim to ensure they don't go against them, to make sure that they keep the control. On that stand, Johnny Depp couldn't even look at Amber Heard once. Why is that? I think that the answer would be an obvious one. He is the victim, in my opinion. Another thing that I think it's worth pointing out here is that we also need to keep in mind that they are both actors. They act as a career. Just, getting this out there as well. Let's just say another kind of disclaimer. So I'm not going to introduce you to who Johnny Depp is because I think by now all of the world knows him. He made his first film debut in 1984 in the horror film A Nightmare on Elm Street. He played in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he played in Alice in Wonderland, and of course he played Captain Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean, among many, many more. If you look at Wikipedia, for example, there is an extensive history of all his work. He played in at least 69 films, 9 TV series, and not to mention the other films that he produced through his company Infinitum Nihil. So it's safe to say that he's been on the scene for more than 40 years. As for Amber Heard, quite honestly, I had no idea who she was until this whole story unfolded, starting with the article that she wrote in 2018 for the Washington Post, which is safe to say, in my opinion, that she's nothing like Johnny Depp career-wise and status. I think that her biggest role was in The Rum Diary, a film that Johnny Depp produced, and that's how they met. So let's just get into it now. Johnny Depp is facing off against Amber Heard in an intense and controversial legal battle where new information is coming to light and new accusations are being made during each day of the trial. The defamation lawsuit, which was first filed in 2019, started on April 11th, with opening statements the following day that set the stage for the intense courtroom battle that was about to start. Depp's lawyers alleged that Heard was making up claims to cast her ex-husband in a bad light, and Heard's lawyers accused Depp of sex violence during their marriage, among other claims. The lawsuit itself kicked off almost 6 years after Amber Heard first filed for divorce from Johnny Depp on May 25, 2016, after only 15 months of marriage, citing irreconcilable differences. And days later, Amber Heard was granted a temporary restraining order against Johnny Depp after an incident in which she claims he physically attacked her, which Johnny has long denied. As part of their divorce, which was finalized in January 2017, Johnny Depp was ordered to pay Amber Heard $7 million, which she chose to instead have donated to several charities. But that would prove to be far from the truth. After the couple's breakup in 2016, the 34-year-old actress said she would split the $7 million between the Children's Hospital Los Angeles and the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU. But Mr. Caldecott, Johnny Depp's barrister, said the hospital wrote to Depp's business advisor in 2019 to say Amber had not made any payments. She gave just $100,000 to the hospital and $450,000 to the ACLU, even though she claims that she made a further $500,000 donation to the second charity anonymously. And not only that, but as far as I'm aware, Amber Heard, as part of the divorce settlement, she asked for I think 2 or 3 of Johnny Depp's houses, which were lived in by his family members. So she wasn't really interested that she's going to kick out those people out of the houses. She just wanted the house. So I guess, in my opinion at least, the term gold digger fits very well in this scenario. The defamation trial is expected to last about 5 or 6 weeks in total, with possible witness testimony from James Franco, Elon Musk, and more. Johnny Depp's trial has prompted many fans from around the globe to sit outside the Virginia courthouse at all hours of the day. So, I guess it's time to break down what happened in court so far. Johnny Depp first filed his defamation lawsuit against Amber Heard in March of 2019. In response to an op-ed Amber Heard wrote for the Washington Post in December 2018 about being the victim of DV. The article itself didn't mention Depp by name, however, their messy 2016 divorce had been in the news over the previous 2 years. And quite honestly, I think most of us, if not all of us, believed when we read that article that obviously she references Johnny Depp because they just ended with their 2016 divorce. So it kind of makes sense that when you read that article, you assume that she's talking about Johnny Depp, obviously. In the suit, Johnny claims that Amber's allegations of against him were an elaborate hoax. He alleges the op-ed caused damage to his career, saying that he was dropped from Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean franchise 4 days after the op-ed was published. Even though she never mentioned Depp by name in the article, the suit claims that the piece depends on the central premise that Miss Heard was a DV victim and that Mr. Depp perpetrated DV against her. While he originally filed in 2019 because of the pandemic, the case was pushed back significantly. In the opening statements, which were broadcast on Court TV, Amber Heard's lawyer Ben Rottenborn claimed that she suffered abuse that took many forms, including physical, emotional, and psychological. The headline for the online version of Amber Heard's op-ed read, "Amber Heard, I spoke up against sex violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change." Her lawyer, Ben, claimed that she did not write the headline herself, nor was she given final approval for it. However, the attorney claimed of the headline tragically is true. Quote, "Amber did suffer sex violence at the hands of Depp," Rottenborn claimed. "You will hear in the most graphic and horrifying terms about the violence that she suffered. You will hear that straight from her. She will get on the stand and she will tell you that it happened." End of quote. Johnny Depp's rep refuted the claims in a statement to ET Sharing, and I quote again, "These fictitious claims were never made at the onset of Amber's allegations in 2016 and only advantageously surfaced years later once she was sued for defamation after noting in her op-ed that she was a victim of sex violence. Words are key in a defamation case, and conveniently this allegation only came after that." End of quote. In her opening statement, Johnny Depp's attorney Camille Vasquez reaffirmed the allegation that Amber Heard fabricated her claims to elevate her own career and popularity during a time when the Me Too movement was gaining momentum. Johnny Depp's sister and personal manager Christy Dembrowski was the first person to take the stand to dispute Amber Heard's claim that Depp was. According to Christy, she witnessed Johnny being physically abused and hurt by their mother and claimed that he swore to never repeat that sort of violence. She also claimed that she didn't see a reason to believe that Johnny Depp struggled with drugs or alcohol. However, on cross-examination, Christie struggled to align her defense of his mental health with text messages she sent in which she expressed concern over his use of pain pills. One text sent to Amber Heard read, "I love him so much, but he needs help." Christie claimed that this message was specifically in connection to his dependence on pain medication. Now, I need to clear up something about Christie's statements and her cross-examination as well. I have seen her cross-examination. I watched the trial, and guys, if you want to watch the trial and every witness statement available out there, there is so much. There are so many sources online, specifically on YouTube, which are broadcasting every day of the trial. So I think that it's really important for you to actually sit and watch the trial so you can fully understand what's happening here. From what I've seen, when Christie was cross-examined, they were trying the best that they could to sort of paint her in a bad light and also to discredit her on the stand. Obviously, this is the tactic that I guess everybody uses in court, in cross-examination. They are trying to discredit the witness. Honestly, you guys, they were trying to, I can't even find the right word. It's like, it's similar to when you have a cult leader who is trying to manipulate their victims and control the narrative and kind of get into their mind and kind of try to twist everything into their mind so that in the end they get more and more confused. That's the vibe that I got from watching the cross-examination of Christie. Even though she repeatedly, over and over again, gave the same answer to different questions which were aimed at the same thing. So basically it was the same question, they just asked the question differently so that they would be able to confuse her, and Yeah, but I'm guessing that this is a tactic that they use, but I think that honestly they were really, really harsh. They were really harsh on her.
All right, you want to continue with your cross-examination?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Dombrowski.
Good morning.
So I believe we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but you were, in addition to being Mr. Depp's brother, you were his, I believe you referred to it as his personal manager, is that right?
I have been referred as it, yes.
Okay. And so you were responsible for, or had some responsibility for his business affairs, right?
I actually coordinated with other people, but I didn't have full responsibility.
Right, but in terms of the information that you would receive, you would receive information that was relevant to Mr. Depp's business affairs and personal affairs, right?
At times, yes.
Okay. And you care about Mr. Depp's well-being, right?
Yes.
He's your brother.
Yes.
You love him, right? It was important to you that you, in your role as both his brother and as his manager, be kept informed of his well-being, right?
Yes.
And if something was wrong, you'd want to know about that, right?
Yes.
Did you ever have reason to believe from anyone other than Amber that Mr. Depp had a problem with drugs or alcohol?
No.
Did you ever have reason to believe from someone other than Amber that Mr. Depp romanticized drug culture?
No.
Did you ever have reason to believe from anyone other than Amber that Mr. Depp didn't take accountability for his actions?
I didn't have reason to believe that, no.
Did you ever have reason to believe from anyone other than Amber that Mr. Depp lacked patience for getting his needs met?
I didn't have reason to believe that, no.
Did you ever have reason to believe from someone other than Amber that Mr. Depp could act like a child if he didn't get immediate satisfaction?
Objection, Your Honor, lack of foundation.
I'm asking if she had.
Overruled, I'll allow it. That's fine.
Let me ask that again. Ms. Dombrowski, did you ever have reason to believe from anyone other than Amber that Mr. Depp could act like a child if he didn't get immediate satisfaction?
Hearsay, Your Honor.
Yeah, overruled for this question. We'll see if the follow-up. Okay.
I'm sorry?
Did you ever have reason to believe from someone other than Amber that Mr. Depp could act like a child if he didn't get immediate satisfaction?
I never had reason to believe that.
Did you ever have reason to believe from someone other than Amber that Mr. Depp had fundamental issues with anger?
Your Honor, may we approach?
Okay.
Stay with us. Sidebar has
Is there, I'm sorry, is there more to the,
There's another page which we can go to, but my question is just this, and I think we established this. This is an email that you received from Dr. Kipper, correct?
yes.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to publish the second paragraph on page 1 into the, and then the remainder of that paragraph on page 2 with everything redacted, else redacted.
You're asking to enter it into evidence.
Yes, we'd like to enter it into evidence with those redactions.
Your Honor, 2 letters. Hearsay.
Hearsay.
May we approach?
Sure.
all right. Another sidebar. Melissa Redmond. These are going to be common, likely, in a case like this, so highly contested. Just something you have to get used to, but and juries have to endure. Part of the process.
It is, especially when making the objections. You don't want speaking objections in front of the jury, so the attorneys will be approaching the bench a lot to argue out why they believe certain evidence shouldn't be admissible. And again, just making the quick objection and explaining to the judge why, instead of doing that in front of the jury, is the way it should be done, although that is very distracting and breaks up the testimony a lot for the jury.
Yeah, this seems to be a piece of evidence that an email written by a doctor to Christine Dombrowski that Johnny Depp's team does not want in, even though it's redacted for whatever reason. We don't know the contents of it yet, but that's what they're discussing in canon. This is a back and forth. You fight and fight. These little battles can help you win a war.
That's correct, Ted. Essentially here, all of the witnesses will be pretty much circumstantial. So anything to discredit a witness, anything to show bias, this is what each of the attorneys are going to do.
All right.
In the second
Go back
paragraph. Well, first of all, who was Dr. Kipper?
Dr. Kipper was the doctor that was helping my brother, helping my brother get help from the pain medication addiction that he had.
He was helping him with his drug addiction.
The pain medication.
Okay. And your brother was addicted to pain pills.
He had been taking them for a long time, yes.
Right. And you were instrumental in hiring Dr. Kipper to help your brother try to deal with that, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so Dr. Kipper, in his role as someone treating your brother, tried to keep you informed of what was going on with that treatment, right?
Yes.
And it was important to you as both his brother, his sister and his manager that you be kept informed of that, right?
It was important as his sister.
Yeah. And well, and his issues with drugs were having an impact on his career as well, too, right?
No.
And you knew that they were having an impact on his relationship with Amber, right?
Objection, lack of foundation.
She's given plenty of testimony about.
Overruled, I'll allow it.
You knew that the drugs were having an impact on his relationship with Amber, right?
I knew that Amber claimed certain things.
But you didn't believe that they were?
I didn't necessarily believe it, no.
Okay. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Isn't it true that on the bottom paragraph on page 1 that Dr. Kipper informed you that your brother was uncomfortable and pessimistic that he will ever be able to stop doing drugs?
Objection, double hearsay.
I'm not asking for this.
I'll allow this question, but it's the only question on that point, okay? Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Isn't it true that Dr. Kipper informed you in August of 2014 that your brother was uncomfortable and is pessimistic that he will ever be able to stop doing drugs?
He does write this in this email, but this email is an update. I believe, if I'm looking at the dates, and I don't remember all dates, but I know that period and what's written in the email. I think this was during the time they were, where he was getting help from Dr. Kipper.
Right, but that's what he informed you of in your role as his manager and his sister about the status of Mr. Depp's belief that he would be able to stop doing drugs, right?
Objection, hearsay.
I'll allow that question.
I think he was informing me of the conversations, yes.
And he also informed you that your brother didn't take accountability for his behaviors, correct?
He does say in here, yes, he wrote that he has no accountability for his behaviors in this time.
And Heather, if you go to the top of page 2, please. In that first and second line, he also told you that your brother has fundamental issues with anger, right?
Your Honor, objection, hearsay. No exception applies.
All right.
Same exception that applied to the other ones. This is what he informed her.
We need to move on, though. You can.
Heather, you can take that down. So you just testified, Ms. Dombrowski, that you understood from Amber that drugs and alcohol were impacting their relationship, but that you didn't necessarily believe that, right?
Right.
And you didn't necessarily share those concerns, right?
Right.
Did you have an occasion to speak with Amber after a plane flight from Boston to Los Angeles in May of 2014?
Objection, hearsay.
I just asked if she spoke with her. I'm not asking about the
Just
context.
spoke. I'll overrule the objection at this time.
I don't recall specific times speaking with Amber like that.
Okay. Did you become aware of an incident on a plane flight from Boston to Los Angeles in May of 2014?
Objection, lack of foundation.
Foundation objection. If you, I'll
She's
sustain
testified that she.
I'll sustain the objection. It's a foundation. If you can lay a foundation.
If something happened in your brother's life that was notable, you wanted to know about it. You testified to that, right?
Objection calls for speculation. Hypothetical.
Yes, sir.
It's a foundation question. She's testified that she had insight into his daily life.
I don't see it as a foundation question, so I'm going to sustain the objection if you want to.
Okay. You were kept apprised of the goings on in Johnny's life, correct?
For the most part, yes.
Yeah, and you testified yesterday you saw him just about every day, correct?
What I testified to yesterday, saw him every day, was when he was with the family of Vanessa.
And you still saw him, or were in touch with him fairly frequently as his business manager and as his sister when he was with Amber, correct?
Less frequent,
Okay, but still with some frequency, right?
yes.
And if an event had happened that was potentially harmful to your brother, you would want to know about that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Objection has
And
been answered several times.
All right, I'll sustain asked and answered. Next question.
you made an effort to make yourself available to Miss Heard to talk to you about issues she was having with your brother, correct?
Excuse me, I made an effort to talk to her anytime I felt she needed to speak.
Somebody's trying to call us.
It's kind of a pleasant ringtone.
I didn't answer it, so. I don't know.
Ms. Dombrowski, in addition to just Amber believing it, you believed that your brother needed help, didn't you?
Objection made.
Vague.
You believed that your brother needed help with drugs and alcohol, didn't you?
Overruled the objection. Go ahead.
Sorry.
I believed on the one medication I was concerned about.
And you wanted your brother to get better from his addictions, right?
I wanted to address the medication that he was on.
And you understood that Amber wanted the same thing, wanted him to get better for both him and for her, correct?
Objection calls for speculation as to what Amber wanted.
I'll sustain as to what Amber wanted.
Christie also claimed that Amber once called Johnny while still being married an old fat man, and she also claims that Amber got mad when Johnny Depp was offered advertising work for Dior and allegedly told the actor they are about class and style and you don't have style. Honestly, have you seen the ad campaign for Dior with Johnny Depp? Oh my god, seriously. I'm not into older guys in general, older guys over the age of 50 of course, but seriously, I think that he's got even more style than she ever did and that she ever will. He has it. And honestly, this company, Dior, I believe is the only company that stood by Johnny Depp and still stays by Johnny Depp now, even after all these allegations came out and everything else. That goes to show the impact that Johnny Depp has professionally as well. Johnny's longtime friend and neighbor Isaac Baruch took the stand on April 13 and claimed that he'd only ever seen the couple in two arguments, once in person and once over the phone. He said Amber Heard told him once that Johnny had thrown a phone and struck her in the face, but he didn't see any visible marks on her face when he saw her the day after the alleged altercation. Isaac also claims to have a security camera video of Amber Heard practicing getting hit by a fake punch thrown by her sister while in the elevator at the building where Johnny and Amber lived. Depp's lawyers claimed this video shows Amber Heard practicing for a real punch in the future as part of her alleged efforts to fabricate evidence. Isaac got quite emotional as he defended his longtime friend and criticized Amber Heard's state.
And for Johnny, you know, his family has been completely wrecked by all of this stuff, and it's not fair. It's not right what she did and what happened for so many people to get affected from this. It's insane.
And Mr. Baruch,
how this happened.
And Mr. Baruch, if in fact she's telling the truth, and if in fact Mr. Depp, who has engaged in enormous rage and domestic abuse and violence of Amber over a period of time that you wouldn't know about.
Guys, he was even crying on the stand. However, Isaac, who knows Johnny since the 1980s and previously worked as the manager of his nightclub, the Viper Room, confirmed that he received profane texts from Johnny Depp regarding his ex in 2016, including one in which the actor said he hoped Amber's rotting corpse is decomposing in the effing trunk of a Honda Civic. Another text read that "See, ruined such an effing cool life we had for a while." But I think that in these situations, if you would be in his position, I think that you would think or write or say pretty much very similar things to what he did say. So I'm not really seeing these text messages as being something which, you know, would allude to him being violent and him wanting to actually kill her. On day 4 of the trial, on April 14, Kate James, Amber's former personal assistant, testified, and she painted a truly negative picture of her ex-employer. Kate's testimony was part of a taped deposition that was played for the jury. She claimed that she never saw any evidence that Amber was or hurt by Johnny Depp, and she was around nearly constantly as Amber Heard's assistant. Kate James said that she was initially paid $25 per hour to be Amber's assistant, a job she had from 2012 until 2015, and her salary was raised to $50,000 per year, but only after Amber allegedly screamed abuses at her when she asked for a raise. According to Kate, Amber was a dramatic person in general, and she saw the actress fly into a blind rage. In contrast, she described Johnny Depp when she first met him as shy, peaceful, quiet, and said he behaved like a total southern gentleman. Kate James further alleged that Amber Heard once spit in her face while discussing the possibility of a raise, and claimed that Amber would have something similar to manic episodes, allegedly calling Kate and texting nonsensically at odd hours of the night. Amber even treated her own sister, according to Kate, like a dog that you kicked, and said that she was once told by Amber's mother that she was terrified of her daughter. Laurel Anderson, a marriage counselor who saw the former couple for 4 sessions, took the stage on day 4 and shared her accounting of what she claims to have seen from the pair over the short time that she worked with them. She said in a deposition taped in February and played in court on April 14th that the two engaged in mutual, where Amber would often initiate conflict or respond to perceived insults or provocation by fighting. According to Laurel, Johnny Depp would often try to de-escalate fights and attempt to leave the situation, but Amber would amp up the argument. And I want to quote here, "If Depp was going to leave her to de-escalate the fight, she would strike him to keep him there," Laurel Anderson claimed. She also stated, "I think Depp may have initiated it on occasions too. That I'm less sure on." You know what happens? Even though he might have initiated it on occasions as well, you know, having been a victim of DV myself, I know that after some time of you being a victim, you kind of get used to not the routine of things, but the constant arguments, and well, you never really get used to it, but this is everything that you know at one point in there. And so those arguments, those fights, the fighting back and forth, the verbal confrontation, which you know that will eventually lead to a physical confrontation, as a victim you still initiate it, because at that point in time that's the only thing that you know how to do. And over time, being in a long-term relationship where you are the victim in a DV situation, that's the only thing that you know, and that's the only thing that you hold on to, and you learn to become quite defensive in a sense. And also, just putting it in basic terms, you learn how to pick on a fight, if you get what I mean. I mean, you are used to it for so long, and you are in constant arguments for so long that basically that's all you know. And when there isn't a fight there or an argument there, you start to pick on that argument. Some people might argue that this is something which is your fault and it's something that you bring on yourself, but no, that's not the case. Honestly, that is not the case. It just happens because you are being over time so controlled and so manipulated, and you are being a victim for so long that you basically just don't know how to deal with things differently. This is what my experience of having been in DV relationship was like for me. I'm going to dedicate some entire videos around this, around my personal experience with DV, because I think it's very important to see the signs, to not only see the signs, but know that your behavior in the relationship will change significantly, and again, it's not your fault, even though the other person will point at you for being your fault, but it's part of everything that a DV relationship entails, really. Johnny Depp's personal doctor, Dr. David Kipper, and Johnny's nurse, Debbie Lloyd, appeared in video depositions as court returned on Monday, which I believe was April 18th, where they testified about a 2015 incident in which the tip of Johnny's middle finger was sliced off. Nurse Debbie said that she was told several different stories about how the incident happened, including one account that claimed Amber Heard threw a vodka bottle at Johnny, which shattered on his hand and sliced his finger to the bone. However, Dr. Kipper states that Johnny himself took the blame for the incident. Johnny and Amber were in Australia at the time, and Dr. Kipper testified that he and Debbie Lloyd traveled with them to care for Johnny as he struggled with his addiction issues. Johnny Depp texted Dr. Kipper the night of the incident and wrote, "I cut the top of my middle finger off. What should I do except, of course, go to a hospital?" Dr. Kipper testified that he treated Johnny's wounds and eventually took him to an emergency room. Dr. Kipper stated that after a search, a chef on the premises found the tip of Johnny's finger on the floor of the kitchen, and it was successfully reattached. Dr. Kipper also testified that eventually Amber also became his patient, and that he never saw any instances of physical, nor did either party ever seek treatment for injuries that would have likely stemmed from DV. Johnny Depp took the stand on April 19th and said that the allegations of abuse leveled against him were not based in any species of truth. It was a complete shock, he said. It just didn't need to go in that direction, as nothing of the kind had ever happened. In the relationship there were arguments and things of that nature, but never did I myself reach the point of striking Miss Heard in any way, nor have I ever struck any woman in my life.
Good afternoon, Mr. Depp. Good afternoon.
Johnny Depp was one of the world's highest paid actors. On Tuesday, he took the witness stand to respond to allegations of abuse.
Never did I myself reach the point of striking Miss Heard in any way, nor have I ever struck any woman.
Depp says Heard's allegations are lies and accused her of physically abusing him.
Within a year and a half, she had become this another person almost.
The actress married Depp in 2015, filed for divorce 15 months later, and sought a restraining order. In a 2018 Washington Post opinion piece, she recounted her experience with violence and referred to herself as a public figure representing domestic abuse. On the stand, Depp said the allegations ruined his career.
Her accusations had sort of permeated the industry and then made its way through media and social media. It just kept getting bigger and bigger.
The trial comes almost 2 years after a British court dismissed Depp's libel case against an English tabloid that called him a wife-beater. That judge ruled Depp repeatedly assaulted Heard and caused her to fear for her life. Attorney and mediator Winter Wheeler.
I understand wanting people to know that you've been falsely accused, if that is in fact the truth. But even if he wins, I don't necessarily believe that changes his career path, good or bad.
Amber Heard has not yet testified.
If he thought the Washington Post essay was bad, what's he going to think of her testimony?
Oh, exactly. All the dirty laundry is being aired, and it is only going to get nastier as things go on.
Before the trial, Heard said in a statement, "I wrote about the price women pay for speaking out against men in power. I continue to pay that price." Today, Depp is expected to take the stand again, this time for cross-examination. For CBS Mornings, I'm Carter Evans.
Boy, oh boy, it's very messy. I'm watching, and I have to say, it's tough to watch, I think, for both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them are accusing the other. Both have pictures of the by their spouse. And it's just so tough to see all your personal business spilled out that way.
It's tough, but also I feel like they're looking for it in some sense. I mean, everyone's had a relationship where there's some kind of problem, and these people have very deep pockets to air it all and hope the judge says you're right and you're wrong. Yeah. It's kind of a fantasy everyone has. I don't know if they're going to get there or not in the end.
Well, she still hasn't testified, so we'll see.
And she's going to take this in.
Yeah.
You know, people close to them both say that they each know how to push each other's business. Push each other's buttons, not business. Might know how to do that too, but I meant to say buttons.
That was it.
Since I knew that there was no truth to it whatsoever, I felt it my responsibility to stand up, not only for myself in that instance, but stand up for my children. It's been 6 years of trying times for me. Strange when one day you're Cinderella, so to speak, and then in 0.6 seconds you're Quasimodo. I didn't deserve that, nor did my children, nor did the people who've believed in me all these years, he said. I didn't want those people to believe that I had done the wrong or lied to them or was a fraud. I pride myself on honesty. I pride myself on truth. Truth is the only thing I'm interested in. Lies will get you nowhere. Johnny Depp admitted he used his first illicit drug when he was 11 years old in order to deal with the alleged he suffered at the hands of his mother. However, he said Amber's telling of his drug use is grossly embellished. The actor also said that even though he developed a dependence on the opioid oxycodone following an injury on the set of Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, he detoxed and experienced withdrawal from the drug during his relationship with Amber Heard. I am not some maniac who needs to be high or loaded all the time, he added. Johnny Depp also discussed the beginning of his relationship with Amber Heard, whom he met on the set of their 2011 film, The Rum Diary. Apart from one on-set kiss, Johnny said his and Amber Heard's relationship didn't start until the movie's promotional tour years later. She seemed to be the perfect partner in a sense for me, he said of Heard, adding that at first it was as if she was too good to be true. And the guys, in most situations and in most cases, when it's too good to be true, it really is too good to be true, which is not real. She was attentive, she was loving, she was smart, she was kind, she was funny, she was understanding. We had many things in common: music, literature, things of that nature. For that year or year and a half, it was amazing, he said. There were a couple of things that stuck in my head that I noticed might be a little bit of a dilemma at some point. Within a year or year and a half, she had become another person almost. During the second day of his testimony, Depp opened about the volatile arguments between himself and Heard. I was sort of not allowed to be right, not have a voice, Depp said. So at a certain point, what enters your mind is you start to slowly realize that you are in a relationship with your mother. And I know that that sounds perverse, obtuse, but the fact is some people search for weakness in people. The fights and arguments would quickly become violent, he explained. If I stayed to argue, eventually I was sure it was going to escalate into violence. Oftentimes it did. At times during their relationship, it seemed like she had pure hatred for him, and often this escalated into violence. Asked what he meant by this, Johnny said that Amber, in her frustration, rage and anger, would strike out. He said this could begin with a slap or a shove. It could begin with throwing a TV remote at his head or a glass of wine in his face. According to him, Amber engaged in teenage high school tactics and her bullying became too much. At one point during the day's hearing in Fairfax, Virginia, Johnny was asked about the first incident of alleged DV that Amber says happened in early 2013. Amber has also claimed Johnny Depp became violent during a private flight from Boston to LA in May 2014, an incident that has come up several times during the trial. Johnny told the jury he had taken 2 opiates, oxycodones, before the flight. He said he sat on the plane drawing and Amber was verbally taunting him. She would poke and prod physically, psychologically, and emotionally. He grabbed a pillow and hid in the bathroom of the plane. He laid down and went to sleep, and that's where he remained for the rest of the flight. Johnny Depp also denied hitting Amber Heard during an argument about his Wynonna Forever tattoo that was later changed to read Wino Forever, famously changed from Wynonna Forever after his split from actress Wynonna Ryder in the 90s. It didn't happen, he said. I have never struck Miss Heard. I've never struck a woman in my life. And certainly not going to strike a woman if she decides to make fun of a tattoo that I have on my body. Johnny also spoke about the couple's infamous Australia trip in 2015, which took place shortly after they got married. Amber has previously claimed Johnny was during this trip and described it as a 3-day hostage situation. Johnny accused her of throwing a bottle at him, which shattered. The actor also described in graphic detail his finger injury. First of all, I felt no pain whatsoever, he recalled. I felt heat and I felt as if something were dripping down my hand. And then I looked down and realized that the tip of my finger had been severed. The injury caused him to come close to having a nervous breakdown, he said, before adding, I started to write with my blood, in my own blood, on the walls, little reminders from our past that essentially represented lies that she had told me, lies that I caught her in. Jurors were issued with a warning as they were shown a picture of Johnny Depp's injured finger, which was entered into evidence, and I'm issuing the same warning here for you guys. It's quite graphic. He also told the court he has never had a physical addiction to alcohol. Speaking on the 6th day of the libel trial, the actor said Amber would call him a bad father, a terrible father, an awful father, and tell him he had no idea how to parent. Johnny said Amber had a need for conflict and she couldn't be wrong. Johnny also told the jury he would often lock himself in the bathroom to remove himself from escalating situations. He admitted there is plenty wrong with him, but he said there is plenty wrong with a lot of people, and that in situations with Amber, his main goal was to retreat.
All right, back here in the States, it was a shocking day in court yesterday during the cross-examination of actor Johnny Depp. He's suing his ex-wife Amber Heard for defamation. The jury saw potentially damaging text messages from Depp and video of a violent outburst. NBC's Sam Brock joins us now with that video and more. Sam, good morning.
Tom, good morning. For days, Johnny Depp took the stand and discussed a traumatic childhood, acknowledged modest drug use, and spoke to the importance of resolving conflict without violence. He said he has never hit Amber Heard, or any woman for that matter. But Thursday's proceedings, highlighting obscene text messages and heavy drug use, look to puncture that picture. We'd like to warn you, some of the material you're about to see is disturbing. Johnny Depp's $50 million defamation lawsuit launched to restore his reputation.
Yes, raised to be a Southern gentleman.
But now the actor is facing new questions about his character in court. Depp is suing ex-wife Amber Heard for writing in a 2018 Washington Post op-ed that she's a public figure representing domestic abuse. During cross-examination, her attorney unveiling text after text of threatening language, including messages to fellow actor Paul Bettany.
I will her burnt corpse afterwards to make sure she is dead. Did I read that right?
You certainly did, yes.
The texts also including an acknowledgement of considerable drug use. Heard's lawyer reading some of what Depp wrote. Ugly, mate. No food for days. Powders, half a bottle of whiskey, 1,000 Red Bull and vodkas, pills, 2 bottles of Champers on plane. Paul Bettany's attorney declined to comment on any possible drug use, and a source close to Depp telling NBC News, colorful texts, which Johnny has already apologized for, do not equate to physical actions. But in court, this video also played.
What happened?
A recording Heard captured of Depp first kicking doors, then minutes later slamming cabinets before pouring a full glass of wine and finding the camera.
Oh, you got this going? You got this going? Oh, really?
Depp has denied ever striking Heard or any woman. In a day of trial that also included texts from Depp about doing drugs with Marilyn Manson and asking Elton John for help with sobriety, Heard remained largely stoic, though she did nearly break down at this.
Now, you're a lot bigger than Amber, correct? Physically?
I wouldn't say that.
For this libel trial, Johnny Depp is pursuing compensatory damages of not less than $50 million. During his testimony, Johnny Depp also claimed that the suit is a way to clear his name for himself and his children, Lily Rose, 22 years old, and Jack, 20 years old. In 2020, Johnny Depp sued Newsgroup Newspapers, which oversees The Sun, for publishing the headline, "Gone Potty. How can J.K. Rowling be genuinely happy casting wife-beater Johnny Depp in the new Fantastic Beasts film?" The actor alleged that the headline was defamatory. However, the judge didn't rule in Johnny Depp's favor, as the claims against him were proven substantially true. Amber Heard also filed a countersuit against Johnny Depp for defamation concerning his claims that she orchestrated a hoax against him and was in fact actually the one in the relationship. She says her former husband concocted a smear campaign against her and seeks $100 million in compensatory damages. Of course, she will hit back with $100 million when he asked for $50 million. Yeah, let's go double there. This is kind of basically what was covered so far at the time of me recording this video, which is on Thursday, 21st of April. I mean, what can I say? I mean, their relationship was toxic, to say the least, and I think there's just that much that a person can take before they try to fight back. They've only been married for what, 18 months? And in that time they already used a marriage counselor for some months. It's clear that it wasn't working. I honestly believe, and this is my opinion, guys, allegedly my opinion, don't come for me, don't sue me, don't do anything of that sort. I think that Amber was in it for the fame. Can you imagine that now, because of this trial, how much more famous she's becoming? Everyone seems to hate her, but regardless of that, this is publicity. It's free publicity. What I've seen in this trial so far is a heartbroken Johnny Depp. She completely destroyed his life, his friends, his family, especially his children. The children used to be bullied because of what was said in that article. Johnny is doing this for his kids. He wants to clear his name, and rightfully so. I am all the way through on Johnny's team here. I'm Johnny Teams here. From what was presented so far, there is evidence that indeed Amber was the abuser in the relationship. She even admitted to hitting Johnny. She belittled him, and the worst moments were probably when she tried hurting him, doing it through his kids, calling him a bad father, no father at all. All of these demeaning things which you typically see in abusers. It's a way to keep control and to manipulate everything and to make you believe that indeed you are the way they say that you are. It's so typical. And I want to put something in perspective for you. Because obviously the reason why I've decided to cover the trial is because of the underlying issue of DV against men and this not being taken seriously. So I found this comment on Facebook. I actually saw it in quite a few places, honestly, and I want to read it out for you. I'm going to blur out the name because anyway I've read this comment in quite a few places, and so I think that one person took it and then it kept on spreading on the platform. Please, before I read it out for you, please listen carefully and listen deeply to how this sounds. A domestic survivor is finally taking her to court. This poor woman had a cigarette put out on her face, a finger cut off, slaps and punches were part of her normal day. The man defecated in her bed while his friends laughed. There are audio and pictures to back all of this up. There were doctors that witnessed some of the man put makeup on to imitate bruises for pictures and court appearances, but the next day there were no bruises to be seen. The man tried so hard to ruin this woman's life. The media didn't even ask her side. They blamed her drinking as the problem. She had been sober for years, but the violent relationship had led her back to her addiction, her only escape. The man leaked a picture of her asleep with ice cream melted on her to prove how out of control she was, to shame her even more. All of her past partners have stepped up to support her, all saying she was nothing but kind and loving. How can we treat domestic abuse survivors this way? This woman isn't a woman, she's Johnny Depp, and the man is Amber Heard. For some reason, his abuse wasn't taken serious. He was mocked. If he were a woman, would it have been so openly mocked? Abuse is abuse. We need to protect victims regardless of gender. This is, quite honestly, the most powerful comment I have read in quite a while, and it really is so very true. If you were a woman describing all these instances of abuse, instantly everyone would believe her, right? In most of the cases. And why? Because she is a woman, because women are seen more vulnerable than men. And Amber knows it. She told Johnny in a conversation no one will ever believe him. That's what abusers usually say, and victims are often too scared to even speak up. They are embarrassed because they think it's their fault. They deserve, because the will make sure to use this kind of manipulation tactics to convince the victim it was their fault. Even Amber's mother is scared of her own daughter. Even Amber's family is siding with Johnny on this. In 5 decades, no woman ever complained of Johnny being a. What's interesting here is that Johnny's friendship with Marilyn Manson was also mentioned in court, specifically the allegations against Manson made by Evan Rachel Wood, his ex. in February of 2021 of grooming and abuse. They split up in 2010, and only last year she came with these allegations. But she did mention previously in November 2016 after they had broken up. Even more interesting is that Rachel is really good friends with Amber Heard. I'm honestly kind of questioning the timing here, if I'm honest. Is there a possibility that she is doing what Amber is doing here, or perhaps Amber is the one copying what Rachel did? Rachel was part of the I Am Not Okay movement. Amber was part of the Me Too movement. Not only that, but Amber's former personal assistant, who testified in the ongoing trial with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, the assistant also said that Amber took her own traumatic story from more than 28 years ago when she was S8 and twisted it to benefit her. And I'm talking here about Amber. So Amber took the assistant's story and used it. Amber Heard is tying herself to Marilyn Manson's abuse of Evan Rachel Wood and trying to cling to her. This is quite a good example of sociopathy and appropriation of someone else's trauma to divulge a false narrative. She's done it to her assistant as well, so it's not unheard of from her. Honestly, as much as I tried to find out which celebrities support Amber Heard, there's barely any known names out there, so I won't get into it. But I know that she dated quite a famous photographer, and there was at one point after they separated allegations of DV from Amber to the lady photographer she was dating at the time. The police were called. Now, the interesting thing is that the photographer even now publicly says that it was just a big misunderstanding. However, the police is still saying that it looked like a DV situation there, and it was quite serious in terms of Amber grabbing her partner's arm as well, and the police say that there was even a necklace of the photographer's being broken, so she got her necklace broken. And she looked very distraught and very upset at the time. It's also known that in cases of DV victims, most of them, they won't come forward, or most of them will say, oh, it's an exaggeration. But, you know, and also Amber, through her lawyer, at one time she tried to clear her record before, I believe it was before the premiere of the Rum Diaries, just as she got into contact with Johnny Depp. So yeah, the timing is a bit, you know, her trying to clear the record before the Rum Diary. Yes, the timing is questionable as well here. I want to mention though the celebrities who publicly support Johnny Depp, and they are not shying away to say it. Let's start with Wynonna Ryder. I hope I'm not repeating myself here. If I am, apologies. It's been a lot of research, so maybe at times I'm missing that I repeat things. Wynonna Ryder dated Johnny Depp for 4 years from 1989 to 1993. Now, you know Wynonna Ryder from Stranger Things. Here's what Wynonna said in a statement. Quote, I understand that it is very important that I speak from my own experience, as I obviously was not there during his marriage to Amber, but from my experience, which was so wildly different, I was absolutely shocked, confused and upset when I heard the accusations against him. The idea that he is an incredibly violent person is the farthest thing from the Johnny I knew and loved. I cannot wrap my head around these accusations. He has never been violent or abusive towards anybody I have seen. I truly and honestly only know him as a really good man. An incredibly loving, extremely caring guy who was so very protective of me and the people that he loves. And I felt so very, very safe with him. And of course, another famous Hollywood star who stood alongside Johnny against Amber Heard's allegations is Penelope Cruz. Here's what she said in a statement, quote, I've always been impressed by his kindness, his brilliant mind, his talent, and his peculiar sense of humor. I've seen Johnny in so many situations, and he's always kind to everyone around. He's one of the most generous people I know. During 6 months of my first pregnancy, I spent every single day with him while we shot Pirates of the Caribbean. My husband and I will never forget the sweetness, protection, and kindness he treated me with during every single step of that process. We love him very much, and I feel lucky to have someone so special in our lives. End of quote. Johnny's ex-wife, French singer Vanessa Paradis, also came to the star's defense. The two have 2 children together, and even though they separated in 2012, they remained close as co-parents. Here is what Vanessa said, quote, "I have known Johnny Depp for more than 25 years. We've been partners for 14 years and we raised our 2 children together. Through all these years, I've known Johnny to be a kind, attentive, generous and non-violent person and father. I am aware of the allegations which Amber Heard has publicly accused Johnny of for more than 4 years now. This is nothing like the true Johnny I have known, and from my personal experience of many years, I can say he was never violent or abusive to me." End of quote. Penelope Cruz's husband, actor Javier Bardem, also spoke openly about Johnny Depp. Here is what the star revealed, quote, "I stand by Johnny because I have always seen and felt a true, caring and loving man in him, an extraordinary and unique artist who has listened to anyone who needed his help. I not only love Johnny but respect him deeply, and I thank him for being the free and careless little boy he is in his art and the mature and loving man he is in the lives of others, always there when we need him. I love Johnny because he is a good human being, trapped in the lies and manipulations of toxic beings, and yet smiling and loving us all in spite of it. How? Through his music, through his acting, through his silence. This means a lot. Thank you, Johnny. Millions of others like me love you deeply." End of quote. Musician Sia tweeted her support for Johnny Depp, quote, "Just showing my public support for Johnny Depp. I mean, I'd love him to get clean and stop with the jewelry, but he is clearly the victim after hearing those tapes." End of quote. Johnny's Pirates of the Caribbean co-star Kevin McNally also voiced his love for the Hollywood star once it was rumored that Johnny would not play Jack Sparrow anymore. Quote, "My dream is that some sort of link will be needed between what has been before and whatever bizarre incarnation of it there is to come. But I sincerely think that my fate is so tied in with Johnny's that I will go with him if indeed he does go." End of quote. When Johnny Depp was cast as the dark wizard Grindelwald in the Fantastic Beasts franchise, plenty of fans were not happy about it. However, author J.K. Rowling tweeted that she had no problem with casting the Hollywood star. Quote, "For me personally, the inability to speak openly to fans about these issues has been difficult, frustrating, and at times even painful. However, the agreements that have been put in place to protect the privacy of 2 people, both of whom have expressed a desire to get on with their lives, must be respected. Based on our understanding of the circumstances, the filmmakers and I are not only comfortable sticking with our original casting, but genuinely happy to have Johnny playing a major character in the movies." End of quote. Let's move on now to Johnny's co-star from the 2010 movie The Tourist, Paul Bettany. The two, who also worked together on Transcendence and Mordecai, became close friends. Quote, "I've known Johnny Depp for years and through several relationships. He's the sweetest, kindest, gentlest man that I've ever known. Just saying." End of quote. And finally, the Fantastic Beasts director David Yates. Here is what the director said about Johnny's participation in the franchise. Quote, "Honestly, there is an issue at the moment where there is a lot of people being accused of things. They are being accused by multiple victims, and it's compelling and frightening. With Johnny, it seems to me there was one person who took a pop at him and claimed something. I can only tell you about the man I see every day. He's full of decency and kindness, and that's all I see. Whatever accusation was out there doesn't tally with the kind of human being I've been working with. End of quote. And you know, guys, in circumstances of DV and in terms of the abusers, usually in public, outside of family, outside of friends in general, you will see some kind of a trait of them being violent in general. So, because when a person is being violent for so long, that's basically what they know to do, right? So they will slip, they will definitely slip to someone outside of the, let's say, DV situation that they are in. So it's very interesting to see all of these celebrities coming forward in support of Johnny, to say, all of them, to say that he's kind and having nothing negative to say about him. It's very interesting to see that, actually. Even though it can be argued that yes, you only show your true self to the people closest to you, and DV more often than not goes well unnoticed by friends and family members around you, Johnny's behavior in general doesn't align at all with an abuser. Yet Amber shows her true colors to people around her, and she's done it for a very long time. It only takes for you to see this clip, which I'm hoping I'll be able to play it. You can see how fake she's smiling here. Did you catch that? The security guard in the back closing the car door, she smiled at him, and then instantly when she turned, she wasn't smiling anymore. So she went from this to this in 2 seconds. You know, someone once told me that when you have a genuine smile on your face, you keep that smile even after you finish that conversation. Like, say for example, you smile at someone whilst you say goodbye. That smile will stay with you for quite a bit. However, when you put on a fake smile, you instantly switch it off because it was fake. And I think it has something to do with the muscles and the expression muscles and everything around it. And I have seen the fake smile of Amber's with the security guard and also in court. She smiles at her lawyer, and then when she turns around, she's instantly changing. I think that in this courtroom, in my opinion, she's putting the best act of her lifetime. In my opinion, allegedly, of course. Please don't sue me. No, I don't want any lawsuit against me. As for Johnny, guys, I truly believe that he behaves like a victim of DV. Actor or not, when you analyze his body language in court, be it on the stand or when sat and listening, he shows he is genuine. He is showing his honest feelings. Do you think that this is not degrading for him? All of this being dragged in public? I honestly think it is. I think that it would be for anyone. Who out of all of us would want all our issues being so public? No one. But he's doing it for his own sanity, for his kids, for his family, for everyone around him. He wants to clear his name. He's probably, I'm sure, I'm saying this as my opinion, he's feeling ashamed, embarrassed, but honestly, I am so very proud that he finally decided it was time to stand up for himself and his children and to come forward. Not many men do it, and I applaud him for that.
Do you have a message for your fans right now, Mr. Depp?
I'm scared to death. I'm frightened and I don't know what to do. I'm confused and I want to go home.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only genius that is Mr. Johnny Depp!
But what I'm going to say is this. If he wins this trial, it will definitely set an example here. The man will finally get to have a voice, something they never had before. Maybe this will give them more courage to speak up against their abuser, seeing that finally someone like Johnny Depp will help accomplish that. And honestly, I really want to know, is Amber Heard going to be charged with anything, with any of these? Seriously, I am interested to know that, because I think that if the role would be reversed, being a woman DV'd, yes, then the man would face charges. So I really want to see what, apart from men coming forward by Johnny setting the example, I really want to see what will happen with the accusation that Amber was a violent person and there were a lot of instances of DV. I want her to be charged, and this would be the fair thing to be done. Okay, so now I want to statistically show you just how real abused men not coming forward is. I'm going to start with the UK because I live here, and then we can also go through the US statistics. The general perception, like I mentioned, is that the pain of DV is something experienced only by women. But DV against men is more common than is often realized. Official statistics and surveys reveal a surprisingly high proportion of women inflicting physical harm as well as emotional, psychological and coercive control over their male partner. The same is true in same-sex relationships. Included in a 50-item finding of the latest available statistics compiled by Mankind Initiative, an organization which supports male victims of DV in the UK, from its own Freedom of Information finding, they found that a quarter, 174,733 of those reporting DV to police forces in England and Wales in 2018 were men, up from 19,000 in 2012. The massive jump is partially explained by coercive control not being a crime in 2012. The finding was mirrored in annual crime survey for England and Wales, which found a quarter of all DV crimes in 2018-2019 were committed against a male victim. In the same year, 16 men died at the hands of their partner or ex-partner, compared with 80 women, according to the Office of National Statistics data. 3.8% of men equal to 786,000 and 7.5% of women and 7.5% of women equal to 1.6 million were victims of domestic abuse in 2018-2019. As Mankind points out, for every 3 victims of DV, 2 will be female, 1 will be male. That's not a stat which sits easily with the idea of men being tough and macho. In its advice to male victims, Mankind says, it is important to recognize that you are not to blame. You are not weak and you are not alone. Understand what is happening to you. If you are a victim of DV, it is unlikely the abusive person will change their behavior towards you. DV is always about asserting power and control. But with the tough macho image in mind, it's no surprise that 49% of men, compared with 19% of women, told no one they were victims of DV in the 12 months to March 2018, according to the crime survey for England and Wales. The proportion jumps to 59% of men who call Mankind's helpline 0182 333 4244, with 70% saying they would not have rung if the helpline was not anonymous. The organization reports 95% of its callers suffer emotional abuse, 68% physical, 41% psychological, 23% financial, 13% coercive control, and 3% SA. In its 50 key facts about male victims of DV or DA, Mankind refers to academic research into why men stay in abusive relationships. The main reason is concern about the children, 89%, followed by considering marriage is for life, 81%, love, 71%, fear of never seeing their children again, 68%, a belief she will change, 56%, lack of money, 53%, nowhere to go, 52%, embarrassment, 52%, not wanting to take their children away from their mother, 46%, threats, she will end her life, 28%, and the fear she will kill him, 24%. There also appears to be an unwillingness by men to suspect their woman will turn violent against him. Only 3% of applications made to police forces in 2017 under the DA disclosure scheme, also known as Clare's Law, were by men. Related to the issue of DV against men is coercive control. A survey of 2003 adults in late 2018 by West London solicitors IBB found an equal portion of men and women, 34%, saying they had experienced being in a coercive or controlling relationship. Behaviors recorded, including 30% men, 23% women, suspected their partner of spying on them, 29% men, 22% women saying their partner monitored or controlled spending, 27% of men and 20% of women had a partner who intentionally destroyed possessions or deleted important emails or text messages. 24% of men and 14% of women had a partner who hid or took away their phone, tablet or computer, and 24% of men, 11% women, had a partner who deprived or limited their intake of food. Yet, 48% of men who responded said they did nothing about it, compared with 33% of the women. As for gay men, 3.2% said they suffered from partner abuse in 2018-2019. Related figures from the National Crime Survey of England and Wales were 3.3% for bisexual men, 2.8% for heterosexual men, 7.6% for lesbian women, 9.1% for bisexual women, and 5.6% for heterosexual women. Going back a year, the 2017-2018 crime survey came up with the finding that 32% of male victims of DA and 23% of women suffered a physical injury, while 11% male victims and 7.2% women had tried to take their own lives. A dark side to DV against men. Based on answers to parliamentary questions, Mankind noted convictions of women perpetrating DA has increased sixfold in the 15 years to 2018-2019, up from 806 in 2004-2005 to 4,599, a 74% conviction rate. In 2018-2019, a total of 55,486 men were convicted of DA-related offenses, with a 77% conviction rate. Now moving to the US. According to national statistics in the US, on average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the US. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million women and men. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner physical violence, intimate partner contact sexual violence, and or intimate partner stalking with impacts such as injury, fearfulness, post-traumatic stress disorder, use of victim services, contraction of sexually transmitted diseases. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate partner. This includes a range of behaviors like slapping, shoving, pushing, and in some cases might not be considered DV. 1 in 7 women and 1 in 25 men have been injured by an intimate partner. 1 in 10 women have been raped by an intimate partner. Data is unfortunately unavailable on male victims. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men have been victims of severe physical violence, such as beating, burning, strangling by an intimate partner in their lifetime. 1 in 7 women and 1 in 18 men have been stalked by an intimate partner during their lifetime to the point in which they felt very fearful or believed that they or someone close to them would be harmed or killed. On a typical day, there are more than 20,000 phone calls placed to DV hotlines nationwide in the US. The presence of a gun in a DV situation increases the risk of homicide by 500%. Intimate partner violence accounts for 15% of all violent crime. Women between the ages of 18 and 24 are most common by an intimate partner. 19% of DV involves a weapon. Domestic victimization is correlated with a higher rate of depression and ending your life behavior. Only 34% of people who are injured by intimate partners receive medical care for their injuries. 1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men in the US has been raped in their lifetime. Almost half of female, 46.7%, and male, 44.9% victims of rape in the US were raped by an acquaintance. Of these, 45.4% of female victims and 29% of male victims were raped by an intimate partner. 19.3 million women and 5.1 million men in the US have been stalked in their lifetime. 60.8% of female stalking victims and 43.5% men reported being stalked by a current or former intimate partner. A study of intimate partner homicides found that 20% of victims were not the intimate partners themselves, but family members, friends, neighbors, persons who intervened, law enforcement responders, or bystanders. 72% of all murder ending your life involve an intimate partner. 94% of the victims of this murder ending your life are female. 1 in 15 children are exposed to intimate partner violence each year, and 90% of these children are eyewitnesses to this violence. Victims of intimate partner violence lose a total of 8 million days of paid work each year. The cost of intimate partner violence exceeds $8.3 billion per year. Between 21 and 60% of victims of intimate partner violence lose their jobs due to reasons stemming from the abuse. Victims of DV are also at higher risk for developing addictions to alcohol, tobacco, or drugs. And with this, I got to the end of what I wanted to cover in today's video. If you guys want me to keep following and covering the trial, please do let me know in the comment section down below. I will be watching the trial anyway, but if you want to hear what happens next in the next few weeks, please just let me know so I can organize it. As for you, my male viewers, I will say the same thing that I would say to any victim of DV. Please, please do reach out, speak up, don't feel ashamed, don't feel embarrassed. You are not less of a man for speaking out. It can save your life and your future. It's not your fault. It's never your fault. And they will never change regardless of what they say. So please don't believe them. Just find courage within you to leave, report it, and save your life. I will also leave some resources for you in the description down below, and I think I'll also pin it in a comment as well. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps me and my channel, and it really helps me with the algorithm to be able to spread awareness of all these issues that are happening. And also, if you are not a subscriber, please consider hitting the subscribe button, and also make sure you turn your notification bell to on so you are notified of any new videos I upload. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please take care and stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!